All right. You are now in tune to the Promise Key. I am your host, Kushai Selassie. We are now here with a very, very powerful brother to touch on a very sensitive subject. Please, everybody, welcome the mighty Hebrew. Oh, I'm nerding out right now. Oh, snap, I got the mighty Hebrew on my show. Oh, crap. Nigus, big up, Nigus, man. You get, I don't know how you make this, possible, but you just keep throwing me, you just keep dropping jewels on my channel and stuff. And I just, thank you.
Oh, you're always much welcome. Well, you told me that, that's the mighty Hebrew's the only Hebrew that you can basically relate to. And
for real though.
I'm like, okay, well then maybe we can have him on the Promise Key. I can just reach out to him and see what's going on. I don't know if you thought it was going to happen the way it was going to happen, but I told you, I'll see, right? I see.
And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you, big bro, coming on the show. I know you mentioned it was very early over there, early in the morning. I really appreciate you being up with it because I don't know about you, but I'm not really a morning person. So if I just have to wake up at 2 in the morning, I'm pretty crazy. So I appreciate you doing. I appreciate you, man.
It's an honor. It's definitely an honor to be on the show. It's an honor, Sister Nagash. I've been working with her for some years. So, she told me, about the subject matter, which is a matter that definitely needs to be discussed, and not only discussed, but we need to establish some foundational laws within the Rastafarian, Comedian, and Hebrew Israelite community that it stands so when things what we're about to discuss happen, we can actually start to implement certain laws and take certain matters in our own hands as a community. But this is a subject that has been concealed that needs to be brought forth. Also, I brought our general amongst us Hebrew Israelite Sabbath Nationals, General Noah, he's on the line with us too right now. Hallelujah.
Bless it.
Hallelujah. Shalom. Shalom.
Appreciate you being on the show with us.
Oh, that looked like David. That looked like David. Is that David in the in the studio with us?
No, that's he just said it.
I'm just who Noah.
Yeah, he just said his name.
He do look like David though a little bit.
Yeah, from the way he's sitting in position right now. I'm like, I know I sent David the link, but I don't see his name there. So okay, maybe that is David.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We got a very touchy subject going on: child abuse, sex trafficking. And as we were discussing backstage a little bit, a mighty one. You were saying about how a lot of it is done where a lot of it is going through a lot of what kind of rituals again?
A lot of the things that you're seeing with the human trafficking and the child molestation, when you start to study ancient occult prostitution, occult human sacrifice, child molestation, you will see that a lot of these things that are going on in modern times stem back to ancient occultic rituals, which took on another spin. That's why when you start to study people like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, many of these guys were working for the FBI and CIA to see the movement of how so-called African, not just African Americans, but the American populace would move dealing with child molestation. But originally, a lot of these things were dealing with ritualistic or unnatural ritualistic behaviors. And now it's trickled down amongst the commoners. This is definitely a physical and spiritual warfare. And it's also a situation that has been covered within the African-American and West Indian community. And it needs to be openly exposed. There's child molestation going on, not just in our communities, but even to the highest officials in our communities, whether if you're talking about spiritual leaders, political leaders, you know, even the leaders that are covering these things up have cases amongst themselves that have been abused with child molestation and things like that. And now it's trickling down to those that they may have as understudiers. So these things definitely need to be discussed, but more than being discussed, I feel as though it should continue to be a discussion think tank, and in turn, we can create some type of universal collective principles that we can deal with such things, because most times when these things happen, we just solely go to the white man. But I think where we're at in our resurrection as a nation of people, it is time now to put the power to define in our own hands and deal with these situations at hand.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Well, we got another guest coming.
So that's basically what drew you to use this topic discussion tonight, right?
Are you talking to me, sister?
Yeah, I was just basically adding on to the end.
Oh,
of
yeah, absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
what basically made you say, hey, you know what? I need to start speaking out about this more often. And I don't know.
We've been doing it. We've been speaking about it. Even I even opened up of being a victim of child molestation from 4 years old to 11 years old in a foster place known as Women's Christian Alliance by a female predator. You know what I'm saying? And it took me over 32 years just to open up. And you know, when you're a leader in Israel and just a leader in general, and these things have happened, it's hard for somebody to come out. So I was one of the ones that came out a couple of years ago about it, and it also helped other leaders within the Hebrew Israelite community that has been abused on levels like that to come out, because they like, okay, the mighty Hebrew he came out with happened to him as a child. So, okay, then we can come out with it. So I feel as though the leadership within the Kemetic community, along with the Rastafarian Hebrew Israelites, nation gods and earths, whatever persuasion that you're under, I feel as though it needs to be brought out. Discussions need to take place, think tank discussions. We need psychologists such as Dr. Morey Ben Yisrael, because we do have psychologists in our communities that we need to deal with. And then from there, I think we need to implement laws that are universal and based within all our communities and handle these matters versus just only going to the white man and having the white man deal with it. I think we need to take the power to define in our own hands and deal with this subject matter.
So when you say deal with the subject matter, you also saying that, let's just say there's, you know, actual tangible proof to prove that a young girl or boy was molested. And are you saying that they should do jail time too? Because
what I'm saying is,
too.
Like y'all know, I repatriated back to Africa. So I live in Africa and I've established a community over here, and we're establishing communities. What I'm saying is I'm on somebody's show, but I don't want to be too blunt. Whatever the severity of the crime is and whatever the laws is that's implemented within that cultural structure, then that's what the judgment is. Say, for instance, if you go amongst the Rastafarian community and
you're breaking up my ear, bro.
molestation, and the penalty is based on the community that you're involved in. But there has to be a penalty. There cannot be child molesters running around in our communities and we're just giving it solely to the white man. No, I'm not saying that the white man can't be involved if we don't have a structure that can deal with the situation. Then naturally we're going to go to the white man. But now we're in a season where, as though we're taking a nationalistic stance within all these communities. And I'm saying that we have to now start to manifest the penalties when it comes to human trafficking child molestation, sex trafficking, because it's going on in Africa. And that's another thing I want to bring up, because I live in Africa. So you still see certain cultural complexities when it comes to marriage. You'll see a young girl, 13 years old, marrying a 40-year-old man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they'll try to.
That doesn't look good at all. And there can't be any justification why a 40-year-old man would get his kicks off of a, 14-year-old girl. There's no explanation for that. How do you explain him? How do you explain him? Because now I have to question him. Where's your mind at? That you would even want to seek a wife and someone that's old enough, and not even old enough, someone that can be your daughter or can be your niece or your young cousin.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, they're trying to use their culture, whether if it's a traditional African culture or Islam. First of all, people evolve. Nations and people evolve. What was relevant in ancient times is not applicable for this time. You might have situations in ancient times where, nothing like that. You might have a 13-year-old in ancient times that may have married somebody 16, 17, something like that. But when you start talking about 13 and the person is 40, this is pure, he's a child molester, and under Torah Constitution, he's worthy of death, period. There's no explanation. This is the 21st century. You need to either, as we would say in Philly back in the day, get down or lay down. And getting down with the program is you don't marry no 13-year-old girl and you 40 years old. Even neuroscientists say that the cerebral cortex of the brain isn't even fully capable of making decisions like that. I don't care what cultural background you come from. Yes, the young women over here are what you would consider objectively more mature. But the reality is what we call a more mature is really a social condition because of the dynamics of what goes on in Africa, mainly over here in in Tanzania, where I'm at. The living and the livelihood is totally different than the Western Hemisphere. What I will say is that the Western Hemisphere has cut us from being more in tune with our spirit and our culture, and it has arrested our development in the Western Hemisphere, but it still doesn't justify a 40-year-old man marrying a 13-year-old girl. It's even so bad that I forgot, I think it was in Jordan or one of them countries, or Iran, one of them countries, where they legalized 8-year-old girls to get married. That government over there needs to be executed for such wicked thoughts, that they feel as though it's okay for a grown man to lay up with an 8-year-old girl. These governments need to be, they need to be charged with crimes against humanity, and it's going to take platforms such as this to start the process and educate our people to help stop this, because if not, then there's not going to be no boundary of evil. So I don't want to take up the whole floor. I see that another sister came on, and want to hear whatever she got to say, introduce herself. But I'm here, hallelujah. Let's get it in.
Oh, hi, my name is Christina. I follow you on Facebook for some years now, so I'm familiar with the Mighty Hebrew. I really don't have much to say yet. I'm just listening, I don't have too much to say. I had a question for you, but I don't know if this is the time. I'm just waiting until the end or something, probably for question.
Okay, my sister. Okay, whenever you ready, it's all good. I'm glad you said you've been following me for years. That's good. Are we friends on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. You the one from DC.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hallelujah. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing okay.
That's good.
We got fans for you tonight.
Nah, that's my sister. I don't like the term fans, and I
What
really
happened?
don't because he was saying we got fans. I know, but I
Oh,
really
okay.
don't like that. I'm just a regular person just trying to get our people to come from out of captivity. We doing well in Africa. I'm glad that this show is coming on. And I love Sister Naga. She always come to me with something deep to do. You know what I'm saying? She never come and say, let's do a regular show. When she come, trust me. And you know, this show reminds me of, you remember Sister Nagash, I did the thing on sorcery and how I think it was on lesbianism and how I took child molestation and human trafficking and I took it back to ancient times and ritualism. That show right there that we did, I put that on Facebook maybe like 3 months ago, and over 8,000 people watched that. And we did that. Yeah, it's on my Facebook. Yes. I
You put it
redid
on
it.
Facebook?
What I did, y'all, I put
So
it
that
on
means it's linked to the
Facebook.
YouTube. You linked it to the YouTube, Facebook.
Y'all, I linked it. Yes, I
So
linked it to the
8,000 people
YouTube.
from your YouTube
Almost
channel.
8,000. No, I'm talking about almost 8,000 people on Facebook, not YouTube, on Facebook. Because the way I did it, when we was talking, what I did was I put a computer screen, and certain things we were talking about, I put the images up there that couldn't actually be seen on your talk show. So I actually updated it. So people think it just came out, but we actually did that, like 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, 2017 we did that. And that was a powerful presentation. And now here we back full circle again, speaking about the matter. So most definitely.
We had some powerful episodes back in 2016,
oh
17,
my
18.
gosh.
We had some powerful episodes. I mean, I can't even remember one
I ain't
offhand.
gonna lie.
You just brought off one for me to remember offhand because we did so many. The last one, I can't even tell you what was the last one.
The last one we did, I think it was Torah Science. I know it was something that was deep, and you had David on there. It was a bunch of us on there. Hellraiser from Wu-Tang Clan. It was a bunch of us on there. But every show we did was powerful. Every show, because we did it the third Sunday every month. And people kept like, what's up with that show? What's up with that show? I think we need to get that third Sunday back up, and we can call it something like.
I was going to ask you in Promise Key, what's up with every third Sundays? Y'all available? You ready to make that door open up again to people asking?
I can try to be there as much as possible, as long as it don't happen to be in front of my work schedule. It's like I work that It's like I work every other Sunday.
Every other Sunday.
We can do it and call it out of Africa. We can call it something like coming like out of Africa, out of Zion, something like that. Since I live in Africa, we can. I had an idea, and I pushed this idea to Jeremiah Judah. Give a shout out to Lions. Then that what I wanted to do was have interviews. I've been interviewing different tribal chiefs because in Tanzania alone, it's over 125 tribes out here. So what I was doing was going to different tribes and just interviewing them and to talk about their origins, their culture. And probably what I can do is every third Sunday, give y'all like a different live interview, maybe on the Chaga tribe, maybe on, the Wahabanian, just to give, you see what I'm saying, to educate people more about the diversity of Africa.
Right, you're giving everybody a taste of Africa. That could be the name of the show, Taste of Africa.
There it is right there. There go the name right there. There go the name right there. A Taste of Africa. There go the name right there.
I christen it.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to ask my question. I like that Taste of Africa. And you could taste some foods and stuff too on that show, because that's what I always wanted to show, where I taste different foods. But
Yeah,
my
anybody
question,
doesn't know Mighty Hebrew, what's their main dish in their local area? And maybe if
yeah,
somebody's cooking at the time, you can like do a little 3-minute, interview with the cook. You know what I'm saying? Get engaged like that.
Absolutely.
So
We
people
could
can
do
get
that.
familiar with the local dishes, and people could also find out who they are and where they come from, because somebody got bloodline in Tanzania. And if you go into that tribe and they're
Absolutely.
listening, they can say, hey, my DNA said that I was from that tribe. Oh, let me contact Mighty
Right.
Hebrew. So now there I go, making the connection, the African connection.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Let's do that.
I
So,
have a
sister, you got a
question.
question?
Yeah. What I really wanted to ask you, more so than anything, is that what is your opinion on somebody who wants to repatriate to Africa, if they have the proper funds? What is your opinion, in contrast when you compare Ghana to Tanzania? What made you choose Tanzania? Because a lot of people choose Ghana, and I was thinking about Ghana, but now you open my eyes to Tanzania. And I also heard that there was a lot of Hebrews in Tanzania, and I'm a Hebrew.
That's a
So,
very, very good question right there. That's an excellent question. There's a few reasons why I didn't choose Ghana. One of the reasons is because of Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9 and 10. It speaks about how the supplements of the Most High will go beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia is from West Africa to the Americas. Also in the book of Ezekiel, it speaks about the way that we left from out of the land of Israel is the way we will return. So when we exile during the Assyrian captivity in 722 BCE, the Babylonian captivity, 586 BCE, along with the Medo-Persian, the Greco-Roman, the Arab, we went into West Africa and then to the Americas. A source you can use is page 75, page 76, and Dr. Joseph A.A. Yokanayan's book, African Origins of the Major Western Religions. The late Dr. Ben says, during the reign of the Romans coming in, Serentia 115 ACE, many indigenous African Hebrews of Negro origin migrated into West Africa and amalgamated with the indigenous population, and then in turn came into the slave trade. Myself, along with Zion Lex, we took our DNA tests. My DNA shoots back to the Igbo Jews of West Africa. Zion Lex just did his this past couple of weeks ago, and he go back to the Lamba Jews. So you're seeing this proof that there were Israelites that came on the slave ships. The reason why we chose Tanzania is because of Genesis chapter 15, 13 to 18. It says, after the 400 years, we would leave out with great substance, and we would dwell in the land of the promise from the great river Egypt to the Euphrates, which is also correlating with Genesis chapter 2, 13 to 14. Them 4 river heads starts from East Africa, which is Lake Victoria, because the great river Egypt, they're talking about the Nile River that drops down Lake Victoria, going up into Egypt, all the way to the great river Euphrates, talking about Iraq. We've been under the impression for years, so-called Black people, because they've been mentally abused by the powers to be, to think the land of Israel only constitute what we know as Israel today. That is partially true, but that's not the truth. When you look at Genesis 15:18, it tells us the land of the promise. So what we're saying is, if you're in Somalia, you're in Israel. If you're in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, you're in Israel. If you're in the state of Israel, Jordan, Syria, Iran, Iraq, all that constitutes the land of the promise. So any of them locations that I mentioned, and if I didn't mention any other names, but them names that I didn't mention, from East Africa to Northeastern Africa, falsely called the Middle East, that's the land of the promise. So you can live anywhere you want. Now in Tanzania, yes, there's a lot of Hebrews that repatriated back, but there are also actual indigenous Hebrew tribes that live, such for instance, the Chaga, the Wahabranian. There are tribes in East Africa that still practice the Hebrew culture. And it's very interesting when you actually go to parts such as Arusha, where I'm at in Moshi, you will see a heavy presence of the Hebrew paradigm here in East Africa. You also see it in West Africa. One of the reasons I have like a crooked eye with West Africa, mainly Ghana, is because of the policies and who the president of Ghana is dealing with. Knowing that he's under the Jesuit order, he's under the Jesuit order. We can't deny that. These are just facts that we know.
Right.
And then there was a lot of things that were going on with certain repatriators. But let's just make this clear. It's not an easy thing, sister. Yeah, absolutely. It's not an easy thing to repatriate. We're not going to sit up here and make it seem like, yo, this is peaches and cream. I repatriated by the way of my grandfather, Prince Asiel ben Israel. He was one of the 3 founders of the community in Dimona, Israel. It was the late Ben Ami, which we know as Adonenu Rabbeinu Ben Ami ben Yisrael HaMoshiach. Then you had the late Prince Dr. Shaliach ben Yahuda, which is the dean, the original dean of the School of the Prophets Institute, Dimona, Israel, Northeastern Africa. Then my grandfather, the Shagrir, the international ambassador, prime minister, Prince Asiel ben Israel. He's the one that appointed me a prince that spread what I developed known as Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, Hebrew cosmogenesis, and Hebrew anthropogenesis. So what I'm doing is ground footwork research on my newest book, 311 trillion, 40 billion BCE to now, going amongst different tribes in Africa that recognize themselves as Hebrews, because one of the disservices that we're having within the Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalistic community, along with the Rastafarian community, even those that subscribe to the Kemetic school of thought, it's the source of information and material where they're getting this information from. A lot of the sources that we're getting is 3rd and 4th dairy information from Europeans who's trying to discredit the Hebrew presence in Africa. Now, the new phenomenon is that these African tribes that are saying that the Israelites, they're converts. But one of the arguments that I challenge anyone is to show us the proof of conversion. And these are the things that they can't do. I'm not going to say any Afrocentric Black conscious groups on this show because that's not the objective of the show. And I don't want to like lose focus on the actual conversation. But I just want to make it clear that, sister, when you ready to come over here, our doors is open for you. We done paid. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is our doors is
really bad.
Yeah.
Am I? Can you hear me
now?
now?
Breaking up really bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got you now.
My last sentence was okay. Yes. What I'm doing is I'm putting a historical, chronological sequences together, showing that there are, in fact, indigenous tribes in Africa that are, in fact, Hebrews, that the original Hebrews were Afro-Asiatic people. There's no way of getting around it. We're not saying that there wasn't conversions to Judaism. The problem is what they're not telling us is that many of the Euro-Gentile Jewish communities, what they were doing was they were focusing on indigenous Hebrew tribes in Africa. For instance, the Falasha, or better yet, Beta Yisrael, the house of Israel, they were isolated in Gondar, Ethiopia for over 3,000 years, and they was upholding the Hebrew culture. When Europeans so-called discovered them, what they did was gave them forced conversion of Judaism so they can control the narrative. Judaism is a poor interpretation of the Hebrew paradigm. It has nothing to do with the Hebrew culture. So a lot of the Israelites in Ethiopia were starving. So what they did was like, listen, you're going to either convert to Judaism or we're going to just let you starve in Ethiopia. This is why they came up with Operation Moses, Operation Solomon. So everywhere where they see Hebrews at in West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, South Africa, what they're doing is they're tackling these tribes that practice a form of primitive Hebrew paradigm, and they're forcing them to Judaism based on their circumstances of living. They could probably be living in deplorable situations. They might be starving. They might be going through different medical conditions that need to be handled. And if you got the so-called Jews coming, giving them medical treatment, food, clothing, things like that, they're basically driving these indigenous Hebrew tribes to convert to Judaism. So now when you have people that do the investigative report, it's as if we converted to the Hebrew paradigm, but in fact, we was already Hebrews that were forced to convert to Judaism because of whatever deplorable situation that may have occurred in that certain area. But to the sister, whenever you ready, we're here, sister. You know what I mean? I've done helped many families come over here, repatriate, settle. As long as our community is knitted, it becomes more and more easier. I have one here with me, one of our primary supporters, General Nawal Orr. He can also chime in when he want, but I'll get back to that more later on, and I'll make sure you have the proper information that you can come over here yourself, see what we doing. We'll house you. We'll make sure you good while you here visiting. Me, I did it a different route. I didn't visit. I did like Abraham did. I came and just never went back.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So if that's what you want to do, then that's get it. Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna let you know when I'm ready. When I saw you go over there, I was so happy for you.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
And God used you to open my eyes that I didn't go to Ghana.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Another reason why he probably leading the ones that he really want that's chosen not to go to Ghana is because they took us from the slave ports there.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I see we got King David on, so I'm gonna pass the microphone. We got the general on here and King David. I know other brothers want to speak and sisters want to speak, but hallelujah. Thank you.
Yeah, King David, what's going on? You know, we got the mighty Hebrew in the house.
Yeah, I see we got Mike back. Yeah. But it's good to see you again, Brother Hebrew. Oh my God. Yeah. So
guess what, David? You would never believe the topic that the mighty Hebrew told me he would like to talk about tonight. He told me this a few weeks ago. But think about the topic. You're going to probably be like, oh gosh, but just think about it. Say it.
It can't be on pedophilia.
How you know? It's spot on that. He was spot on it.
Because I'm tired of talking about it.
And the more you get tired of talking about it, the more somebody else talks about it.
Yeah, but son of a bitch, but God. Oh, they take it to the backwoods.
But you would never think that the mighty Hebrew would be talking about those things.
Because we're sick of this shit.
Yeah, that too. But he recognizes that there's a healing that needs to take place for the victim. Nobody is speaking on behalf of the victims anymore. Everybody just wants to say, turn the cheek and pretend it's a part of life, or they don't give a damn because it's not them or their loved ones. I've heard people say they ain't give a fuck.
And let me, I just want to
happen that this. You would think there would be more hands-on punishment for this type of stuff. So to let people know that this is not going to be tolerated. There should be a zero tolerance to this.
And I think also that needs to be brought up because I was a victim of circumstances of being falsely accused, and it took me 27 years just to clear my name. I feel as though not only those that are child molesters need to be punished, I think also those that falsely accuse people of child molestation or rape, they need to be punished as well too, because that can damage somebody's life over the years and years and years and years and years. Because I said, man, once my name is clear and I get my settlement money, I'm going to Africa, and that's what I did. And I'm an advocate because I was sexually abused in foster home from 4 years old to 11, and not only sexually abused. I give you some situations. the young lady that used to babysit me. I don't know if y'all remember or how old y'all are, but y'all know them hot, you know how the women make their hair straight with the hot iron, they put it on the stove,
Yes.
the hot comb. Man,
Yeah.
this is the type of abuse that was happening. This was the type of abuse that was happening to me. Like she would take that and like burn parts of my body. You know what I mean? And this is well documented. Like this is, you can get the record from the Women's Christian Alliance. And a lot of these foster home agencies need to be held accountable too for their crimes, because they hid a lot of this. Why you think now you see the Boy Scouts are being exposed, the Eagle Scouts,
I know somebody
the
getting a
Cub
lawsuit
Scouts.
from that.
Right.
Yeah, they're being exposed because a lot of them Boy Scout chiefs and all that, they were sexually molesting them boys. And the general was just speaking to me earlier about the situation. Like a lot of us, and I'm guilty of it too, when it comes to, at times when I see a homosexual, I'll bash them, because in our community, that's taboo in our community. But a lot of times we don't sit back and analyze, maybe that person may be a homosexual because when they was a child, they were molested, you know what I mean, by another boy, or a grown man. The same with a girl. She might be a lesbian because at a young age, she experienced her brother, her cousin, her uncle, her father, the next door neighbor, even women. That we're not going to exit out women. We have predators that are women.
Exactly.
And a lot of times we've been,
but they're there.
yes. And when I was telling a couple of my comrades the conversation we was going to, they was like, "You sure you want to go in there, Mighty Hebrew?" I'm like, I think I should go in there, because not only was I falsely accused and my name was clear, I also was a victim of it. So it's like I was on both sides, so to say. So I have a right to speak out. We all have a right to speak out and not just speak on it. And I see what King David is saying when he's saying that he's tired of talking about it. It's time now, as I told you, sister, to manifest action. And the only way to manifest action, we have to separate ourselves from the powers that be and self-govern ourselves. And when we self-govern ourselves, then we can move forward and deal with the situation. Now, I'm not saying every single child molester or rapist is to be put to death, because each case has to be analyzed. You know what I'm saying? We not just a barbaric people. You know what I mean? We don't want to be barbaric in the sense we just not looking at the circumstances of the background of each individual. But if you have these serial rapists, serial child, these guys need to be put to death.
Yeah.
These women and these men need to be put to death. But if we talking about situations where, let's say hypothetic, a young sister may have been sexually abused, and then when she gets older, she might have implemented that out herself. I think now the psychological help has to come in. We have to now invest in potential younger generational people and send them to college for psychology and things like that, so then they can come back into our communities and help heal the community. But as long as we stay asleep and we keep hiding this, then it's going to just be it's going to become a problem to the point that it's going to become a social norm. And we see in the country, in the United States, what they doing. They trying to now make it seem like this is a preference, a choice, that pedophilia is just a choice and preference now, because you got the LBGQ, whatever they call themselves, community on the rise.
ABC.
You got the
all the alphabet
ABC.
letters, right?
Yeah, all these
All
different
those letters.
Kane,
Next
and it's like
numbers in there. All right,
Kane.
start putting numbers and emojis in there next. Watch and see.
And you see what they doing. You got that weirdo Dwayne Wade Gabriel Union. You
that is
displaying.
such an embarrassment.
Yeah, notice how they
have too much money to be that stupid. They got more money than they have common sense. That's when it becomes a problem.
It don't happen when you give people more money than they need.
When you have too much money, you have more money than you have sense. How about that?
Gang. And they're using people like that as the poster child to make it acceptable within the Black community.
That's right.
And remember,
the main example for that. That's right.
Gang. And they already been experimenting on this. I don't know if y'all remember, and I said this on Sister Naga's talk show. First, they came out with something called Real World. And what they did was they created these reality TV shows to see how far they can invade the privacy.
I'm a 90s kid, so that shit was thrown right in our damn faces.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn Big Brother, all that shit.
Big Brother.
It was like watching a bunch of hamsters in a cage or some shit like that.
Absolutely. And you see what they did. They purposely did this so then you can accept being watched and you would accept these so-called social niceties as being normal, the flavor and love. Then he turned around and get a chicken joint. You running around with Sylvester Stallone's crackhead, heroin, addict ex-wife. And you know that you represent the greatest Black political rap group ever, Public Enemy. You got to see what these people done. Now it done came to a point now they get these what is that they got on Lifetime where you got the children doing the modeling and all that and they acting grown, and then they had the little white girl. What was that little white girl, the little chubby girl, and they putting lipstick on her, making her seem like she grown.
I think you're breaking up on my end.
What? Can y'all hear me? That little white girl, that little white girl, that was, that little white girl, that little chubby white girl, they'll put makeup on her and have her running around like she grown and making all this acceptably normal. And now when a pedophile snatch up your baby, now it's a problem. They're trying to make this stuff normal now. Within the next 20 years, child molestation is not even going to exist in the United States no more. It's not going to exist because they're trying to make it seem like it's a choice, that it's okay for a child to be with a grown man. But I'm going to tell you right now, I got 7 children, and you touch any of my children, I'm open with it. I'm going to put you to death. We not waiting on no police. We ain't doing none of that. Over here, you're going to be dealt with. And that's just the bottom line. Exactly. And it has to be sometimes examples, and I'm not telling anybody to go just murder anybody. So that make this clear. The words that are coming from the mighty Hebrew, everything don't reflect on this show. So I want to make this clear to protect the brother and his show.
Yeah, but when I'm saying that if it happens to
it is what it is, man.
Yeah, you said what you would do.
Say what's on your mind. Say how
somebody
you feel.
Take that and go kill somebody. That's on their negligence, you know. That's
right.
Just
absolutely.
For real though.
Absolutely. But and General, you got
a lot of people that's listening right now feel the same exact way. Even if they don't have children, they can imagine if that happened to their child.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have children yet, and I don't play.
Okay,
I handle somebody if I seen them doing it to somebody else's child. It ain't even about just my child.
Exactly.
It's any child. I don't care if the child is white, black, candy stripe. They be dealt with. But General, you got anything to say, General?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was just like you stated earlier about the different organizations, like the Catholic Church, different religious organizations. You got
everybody mute their mic. Maybe everybody need to mute their mic.
You know, instead of addressing individuals, individuals right now, we need to be addressing towards these institutions, because this homosexual stuff, this child molestation stuff, it's like psychological patterns that people are repeating. And if somebody has been molested consistently in the Catholic Church or whatever religious organization, or in a foster home or in a foster organization, period, that becomes normalized to that person. So a lot of these institutions needs to be dealt with and addressed, because a lot of the trauma and the damage is coming from these institutions like the Boy Scouts and stuff like that. And that's why they normalizing it, because you have major organizations that support it and that do push it. So you're going to have the individuals that's going to be out there. Not everybody is going to be as strong as the mighty Hebrew. You know, I done had friends that been molested. Not everybody going to be as strong as them. I done had other people that succumbed to it and didn't know what happened. But come to find out, 2 years old, someone fumbled with them. Now they confused and don't know which way to go. But what caused them to do that? And that goes all the way back to slavery days, when they was doing
I was going to suggest that. I was going to say, I think a lot of this behavior stems back to the slave master. And you know, we dealing with genetics and DNA. So it's just passed down throughout like he said, it's patterns. And those patterns are the generational curses that we keep passing down, you know. And it always be told to keep it under the rug, keep it in the family, don't speak about it. You know, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And when it came to that particular label was always said, well, just keep it in the house, don't tell nobody. When we should be not keeping it in the house, and we should be telling somebody, because nobody got help. The man is still out molested, and the victim is still hurt. And then her life could go either way. She can either get strong from it and be an advocate towards it, or she could go to drugs, be a whore, have a lot of baby fathers. It could go so many different directions. And then she still got to face it throughout her lifetime, you know? In the street and see him in the regular neighborhood, you know, that's traumatizing all the time too.
And at the same time, what we don't even look at as men, there's a lot of women out there that look for men to beat them because they think that it's normal.
Yeah.
I came across all sorts
that domestic violence and sexual abuse. They go together.
And you know, like I say, it becomes normalized. And if you don't do it and you interacting with these people and they looking at you like, what is going on?
Exactly.
And the first thing we want to do is, okay, we finna leave these people alone. They throw it off. Yeah, they mentally scarred. Yeah. But the thing is, we're not asking them what happened. We more quick to say, you know what, you messed up in the head. I'm finna leave you alone. Instead of saying, what happened? You need to talk about what happened to you.
Right.
You know, it don't take a therapist to do that.
Yeah. You see how you mentioned your cousin, some of your family members? It's the same thing. And one of my family members that I remember when I was 7, 8, maybe 9 years old.
There's some bad. Hold on, y'all. There's some bad feedback. Everybody mute their mics when individuals talk, so then the feedback don't go. Go ahead, Sister Nagats, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know where that came from. It's gone now. Right? Go
ahead. Yeah, it's gone now. Say what you're saying, sister. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, remember earlier when the brethren was saying that you know, he had family members that's victim of that and things, and I could relate to that because I remember being between 7 to 9 years old playing with a family member of mine, and the man across the street from where my family member was living was waving like some candy out the second floor window. And he took off running to go and get it. And I was like, you know, can I come? He was like, no, you can't come. It's only for me. And I remember that, and it just stayed in the back of my mind that was just something weird. You give children candy, you give all the children candy. You don't have your particular child you give candy to. And that didn't settle right with me, just because he didn't give me candy either. And I'm normally used to grown-ups giving all the children candy. If the neighbor buy ice cream for you, they're going to buy ice cream for everybody else that's out there. Even if they're from 3-4 blocks away, they're going to get ice cream same way. But it didn't, that day was weird. It was different. So now fast forward, maybe like 5 years ago, or a little less than that, another family member tells me how that particular man is the reason why the cousin is gay. And my mind went right back to that day when we were outside playing, and he waved his candy out the window, and only he got candy and I didn't. And I questioned it, and he said, oh, no, it's not for you. It's only for me, with a nice smile on his face, like he liked the man. So the man opened up a Pandora's box on the family member, and he liked it. So now as he got older in his adulthood, first thing somebody will say, if they ask me how he's doing, did he come out the closet yet? Did he come out the box yet? Because he always had those feminine traits. At a particular age, he just started blooming with it. And I can tell you where it stemmed from that man across the street. Absolutely. And I had to fast forward years later, talk to another family member to go right back to that day and say, yeah, that's why he was flashing that candy. That's what he was doing. And you can get someone's child just that easy. They're outside playing with their cousin. The my great grandparents, which was his grandparents, are in the house. We're outside playing, and all you gotta do is flag that candy out the window, and they got your child. If your child doesn't know, if I leave this yard, I'm gonna get my behind whipped, or I can sneak and do it and come back home, or don't go inside, just take the candy and leave. There was no boundaries. So once he got in, it was all over for the cousin. And to this day, the cousin lives that lifestyle now, and he says he's a preacher too.
Absolutely, and it's funny that you're saying that, because we ain't even getting to the in-depthnesses of recently. You've been seeing a lot of these young sisters that's out there in the Chicago, Detroit area. They're getting murdered, and their body organs are being took from out their bodies. And these institutions are being exposed for taking these young sisters, raping them. Then after they finish doing whatever they're doing with these sisters, they take the organs from out their bodies and sell their organs black market. You remember just recently in Chicago, a couple of years ago, remember that factory, a company was exposed, and when the FBI went up in there, they found all them body parts of all these missing black girls. You know, you want to talk about Becky losing her kitten, and it's an uproar. But when it comes to a sister being missing, y'all ain't saying nothing.
No uproar with that. Exactly.
Yeah, it ain't no uproar that you got within this past year, over 86,000 sisters became missing in 2021. And ain't nobody saying nothing about that. That you have Black and Latino women being missing every single day. You know what I'm saying? And now they're finding bodies with missing organs. So this is, and I keep saying to y'all, this is a big cabal that's taking place. This is an international cabal that they either want the organs from a black man or from a black woman. And that's what they're doing. And we have to be very careful. It might be feedback from you, General. Mute your mic, General. Okay. I don't know if y'all remember. I'm 45, so I remember. Y'all remember back in the day when you could buy a lot. So you remember that. You don't look it, sister. You look like you're 25, sister.
What?
You know what I mean? The most high.
You can say that all night. You know that, right?
Yeah, I see
you can say that all night while you streaming.
You mentioned rape. I never been molested. I never been molested or raped by black men. at all. But guess who I've been raped by? I've been raped by Ishmael.
Oh my God.
But a
And
black
they are
man, a black man has never molested me in my life. I'm 37. Tomorrow I'll be 37. A black man has never molested me or raped me. But I was raped by Ishmael at 20 years old.
and I'm gonna tell you about them damn dirty Arabs. They known for raping black women. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Amongst the Islamic community, there's a big Islamic community in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. And one of the things that they don't tell you is that a lot of them sisters be marrying them Saudi men over there. And then when they get over there, they turn them into slaves and they be raping them and all that. You see what happened with Janet Jackson when she went over there and married that prince over there, had her ass over there in captivity. She had to damn near break up out of there. You know what I mean? And that's what, man, you think I'm like, go look it up. Remember when she married that prince dude over there and that am I lying, King David? And she went over there thinking it was sweet and locked her ass up in that damn house and put a knee job and a chemo on her ass. And she had to literally they had to get the feds involved in all that and get her ass up out of there. They tried to keep that thing quiet, but we know what happened to her ass. She went over there and became a slave a couple of years over there. That's what happened over there, you know, because the man had like a whole bunch of wives and Janet just became one out of many. And she was trying to get up out of there. She couldn't have no contact with none of her family members. Her career, remember, for a while, you ain't hear nothing from Janet. It was on hold, right, King David? It was on hold, all that. We have to be careful who we deal with when it comes to dealing with these other nations. And I'm sorry for that happening to you, sister. And that is a cry out for us as men to be men, because what happened to the sister reminds me of what happened to our foremother Dinah when the Canaanite Shechem, you know, took advantages of our foremother. And what our ancestors do, we rose up and put that nigga to death. And if we had a strong militant force as we had in the 60s, you remember back in the day, shit, if you did something to a sister back in the day, you're going to get a knock on the door. And there's going to be some men at your door. Yeah, they're going to put you under something. Now they done.
But I'm from DC and he raped me right across the street from Howard University in his house, across from Howard University at 20 years old. So when I turned about 28, I say like 27 years old, I went to DC jail and I went to go see one of the brothers or whatever. And I saw him in there behind the glass in the meeting hall with all them brothers. And I haven't never heard from him again.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I don't know what happened to him, though. I don't know what happened to him, but they probably put it to him, but they don't know that he raped me, but the Most High know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, whoever he is, I'm going to let you know. He need to become famous. I wish you had his picture, because tonight we would have goddamn made him famous tonight, because we would have plastered plastered his name, his face, because what they say ain't no statute of limitation. There ain't no statute of limitation, right? Oh, okay. What's his name? What's his face? Fuck that nigga. Excuse me for my language. Put his face, put his name. He's a rapist, and justice will be served. Justice, and this is, we gotta, as men, this also shows us in our communities as men, we have to be more protective of our sisters, because it saddens me to hear that happened to you. And I feel as though he immediately supposed to have been dealt with. But, and it shows we so quick to hurt one to another on, you know, money and things that have no merit in our community. But when a young brother or a young sister get abused physically or sexually, there's nobody to turn to. But we're in a season now where the Most High is rising up strong men and women, and we're going to deal with these challenges in our community. We're going to deal with these challenges of watching. That's why I feel as though we have to now turn back to the old paths, because remember, in ancient times, a lot of the marriages that we did were arranged. Like, here's a prime example. Say if Sister Nagash has a son and he's 5 and I have a daughter that's 5, and we best friends and we raise them up and they're with each other being raised up, and we arrange that marriage. I think in certain circumstances we need to return to elements like that, because it seems like when a sister go out there and meet a random man at a club, she turn her head, he throw a date, rape, drug in her drink, and now she in some mysterious hotel waking up with all types of things, you know, that happened to her private part that she can't even remember.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's even so bad. You see what Cardi B exposed her hand, how she was taking young men, drugging them up, and basically butt raping, getting these trannies to butt rape these men. You know, she said this openly, that she was doing this as a stripper. And people look at people like Cardi B and others as being, you know, good for the community, but nobody never said how she was part of a scandal of raping and bribing young men.
I can't stand her.
Absolutely. So that has to be put out. And I think a lot of times, a lot of men don't like talking about these things because, to be honest, there has been a covering when it comes to sexual molestation, when it comes to boys, and even some type of sodomizing, rape when it comes to men. Men can be raped too. There are sexual violent female predators. There are sexually violent male predators. Also, we got to educate ourselves that there's a difference from a sex offender to a sexually violent predator. You know, right now, what's going on in the community is, for instance, you can be out in the street and you could take a urine, and if the police catch you, now they throw your ass on Megan's Law list or the Adam Walsh list. So everybody that's on that list may not even be what you think, but because they're not dealing with the pinnacle of seriousness with this situation, they just throwing everybody in there on purpose. They're doing this on purpose so then they can just creep in laws that'll protect these child molesters. To protect these because they're just putting anybody now on the sexual sex offenders list now. You know, if you take a urine, or if you and your girlfriend may have had some sex in the car and the cop pull up and they catch you, you done sexually expose yourself. Now they want to put you on that list for a certain amount of years. And you're being labeled something that you're not. This is why we have to study these cases individually, but we have to deal with this situation in our community. If not, it's going to become a social norm, and we don't want it to be. It's disgusting. It's distasteful. It's a crime against the human family and nations, and there has to be judgment. Simple and plain. Hallelujah.
And that's the situation at hand. There has to be a judgment, and people are turning their face when you start talking about judgment, because a lot of them that have, you know, committed the crime have been abused themselves. We understand that, we get that. But when it starts coming back up again 33 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, and you can't say someone is wrong for advocating against it, and you can't say someone is wrong for talking about it, like how we having a conversation about it now. Even if we're talking about a particular situation that happened, let's say 30 years ago, and now the victim has some nerve, some courage to speak out and say to certain individuals, hey, yeah, this particular person violated me when I was younger, and then several other ones come out and complaining about the same one or different ones around the same time frame. You can't be upset with someone like us and the Promise Key that's having a conversation about it, that's putting fire on it, that's burning it down under any circumstances. You can't be upset. It may not be pleasing to your ears. That may not be a topic you prefer to talk about. So I just say, they're just part of those the reject thinking ones, where either because it didn't happen to you, you don't care. It didn't happen to a loved one, so you don't care. You prefer to just pretend it's a part of life. Pretending it's a part of life doesn't make it go away. The conversation will still be heard. And then trying to put it under the rug, turning your cheek, it's not going to change the situation either, because it's still going to be talked about. So when people like Queen Africa, the Mighty Hebrew, Rastafari TV, the Promise Key, David, Christina, whoever, when we have these dialogues, there's someone listening that could get something out of it, some kind of resource, some kind of healing. So now they understand and know that there are people that want to hear what you have to say if you want to talk about it, and know that there is a healing process that you have to be ready to start that journey on, because some people are not healed from it. So now they're in their 30s and 40s and they're damaged. You know what I'm saying? They're 30, 40 years into damage because they never healed from it, because they didn't have the proper resource to go to even start a healing. So if these healings would have started right when it happened, by the time they're in their adulthood, they'll be basically the perfect man or the perfect woman to live in society and have a healthy relationship and be a healthy parent. But a lot of times that's not happening. 90% of the times that is not happening. If you're not self-medicating yourself or self-therapying yourself, you're going to end up either doing it to someone too, or your life is not going to go the way you want it to go, because you didn't get a chance to get that trauma out of your life. And the trauma passes down to your children, because now you're repeating the same vicious cycle, and now they're open to it. So then now you have a generation of mother being molested, grandmother being molested, grandchildren being molested. This shit is real. This shit is real, and it keeps happening. So it's beyond just it's beyond environment. That shit is now genetics. Because if mommy and grandma experience it, now I'm experiencing it. Come on now, we don't see the patterns. And these are patterns that we didn't ask for, we didn't plan it, but they keep finding itself happening again and again. Nothing is happening about it. We like tonight, like Mighty Hebrew said, it's time to, bring some judgment down on these situations. People need to know that I don't care if they legalize this thing or not. You can't just do that to anybody's child. So be careful whose child you mess with. Women and men that give their children up to the industry, whatever goes. I'm sorry that has to happen to them, but you put your children
and that's
out.
good. And that's good. You said that right there, Sister Nagas. I'm gonna let you finish. I just wanted that key point, the music industry. We're gonna talk about that next, because a lot of child molestation been going on in the music industry. But go ahead, sister. We listening.
Yeah, and it's the parents' fault, because the parents put their children in those delicate situations that they're not mentally mature to handle. All right. So then when you get an R. Kelly who's been molested himself, said it in his own music and never really saw any proper healing himself. So he reflected on what was happening in his world from him being molested. We see the results of him. You get your children around somebody like R. Kelly, and they're going to swallow your child up. Yes, what's up? Bless up.
Absolutely.
I wanted to address something that Mighty Hebrew was saying earlier about how the children, how the little girls and boys is coming up missing with their organs and stuff like that.
Oh, you have a bad audio in the background.
Make sure your headphones are plugged all the way in.
Is that better?
No.
You might have to take your earphones out.
Is that better?
Just take yeah, that's better. That's
okay.
Better.
I don't think the earphones were.
But what I was But what I was saying was, watch your children because what they're doing is, well, they taking the organs, but with like females and stuff like that, they're taking certain sexual organs like ovaries because they trying to make it to where men could get pregnant now. So that's the reason why that they're taking these children. They're doing all sorts of stuff.
That'll never happen because the man.
I was gonna say, but that shit would never happen.
Because the man's pelvic bone and the woman's pelvic bone is a different shape. You can Google it real quick right now and share the screen and see it if you think I'm lying.
That don't stop it from trying,
the womb grows. The womb extracts and grows based on naturally. So I don't know what these crazy people are doing, but that's disgusting. And I already knew that. We but that's disgusting.
Right.
And also speaking of the music industry, because matter of fact, before I go on, there's somebody else that just came on. Maybe the brother want to say something because I want to hear everybody. I think a brother just came on.
That's what's saying Haru, my aunt.
Yeah, let the brother. Do he want to say something? Because if not,
you want something? You have something you want to say? We see you came on the camera, and we wanted to know if you had anything you wanted to say before we move on with the conversation.
Because I know that you said something about that music industry, and you remember what's the guy name that came out, Marcus Houston, that B2K or whatever that group was, and Immature, and how they was exposed.
I saw the documentary behind those youths back in that era. Chris Cross,
and they were Chris Cross. All of them was being sexually molested.
Lil Bow
Wow. And if you notice, all of them got them feminine traits. All of them got them feminine traits because of what happened to them. And nobody wants to be open about the situation as to what's been going on in the music industry. There's a lot of satanic shit going on in the music industry. Even to the point I just seen recently on the Hip Hop Report where Old Guy and them, they were interviewing Coolio. And even Coolio was saying how it's a lot of satanic shit going on in the music industry, and how when he was speaking out against them, that his son had like a mediocre regular case, and they gave his son 5 years to shut him up, and he said that he afraid for his family's life. If he keep talking about it, they're going to do something to his family. But if you notice, although, it was just on there like last week. And my whole thing is, if you notice, everybody that speak out against these people, notice something happened to them. And then when you speak of R. Kelly, it's so funny that you bring up R. Kelly. And again, I'm not condoning R. Kelly's actions. He need to be dealt with. But don't try to, and I'm talking about so-called white America, don't try to dehumanize the so-called black man trying to use the face of R. Kelly or Bill Cosby to dehumanize the so-called black man. But you've been doing this for years and years. Let's talk about Hugh Hefner.
For millenniums.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's talk about Hugh Hefner, the granddaddy of Playboy, where he thought we forgot when he put Brooke Shields on the cover of Playboy when she was only 13 years old. Where you think we forgot about them things?
No,
right. I remember it since you just said it.
She was 10.
I remember that.
She was 10. Wow. Yeah, all up. What about Donald Trump being caught up in limousines with little girls? What you think we forgot about all these things? Right. The people that's running your country are pedophiles. This is why they're legalizing. I'm telling y'all, in the next 20 years, if it take that long, pedophilia is not going to, it's going to be considered a social norm. And they're using the alphabet community to push their propaganda. And it's getting so bad now that they're trying to adopt certain spiritual principles and trying to incorporate homosexuality, child molestation, and different things with it. Whether they're adopting the Kabbalah system, whether they're trying to adopt the Medunetta system, the Torah systems, whatever. They're trying to use spiritual systems, right, to justify pedophilia. That's what they're doing right now. Like you got this one guy, I forgot his name, how he's trying to justify, he's a homosexual / supposedly a Kemetic priest, and trying to justify that this is in the Purim Heru, which is not true. These are lies. They're trying to use spiritual teachings to justify their wickedness. And it's going to take people on this panel and others throughout the world to come together to stop these international crimes against the human family and nations. You cannot have sex with little children, period.
And guess what they're justifying? They're justifying just what you just said. They're trying to justify me being 40, marrying someone 13 or 9, or me being in my 30s and having sex with a 15-year-old and think that she knows what she's doing and he knows what he's doing. They both know what they're doing. You have people answering back like that. They're not even looking at the brain development of the 15-year-old. First of all.
Absolutely. And we
then
already
the
know
brain development of the 30-year-old to be looking at a 15-year-old. He needs to be checked.
Right. Why would you, what is causing your mind to look at, I got 2 14-year-old daughters. They're not, the cerebral cortex of the brain is not even fully capable of making proper decisions because they saying that it's not even fully developed until you at least 30. So you mean to tell me that a 14-year-old girl or a 14-year-old boy can make some type of executive decision as to having sex? And I'm gonna tell you, you men need to stop making it seem like it's cool for the 14-year-old boy to have sex with his school teacher. Because if a 14-year-old girl have sex with a school teacher, they blast that man publicly. But then when a woman have sex with a 14-year-old boy, it's considered, oh, he just, you know, he doing this manly thing. No, she's a goddamn pedophile, and that man teacher is a goddamn pedophile, and they both supposed to be penalized. We have to stop with these imbalances. Neither one, a boy nor a girl, are capable of dealing with these type of decisions. You know, and then we got the school. You see what's going on now? How they're showing little children at 8, 9 years old, they showing them books in school about gay people. Now they got Superman's son a faggot now.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that.
How you
Oh
got
shit! No!
Yeah.
No! Hold on! No, you can't do this to me, man. I'm a '90s kid. Superboy belonged to us in the '90s. Y'all can't do this to us.
Yo,
Wait a minute.
Man, they got the ball. They got the ball straight.
No, cut the show. Wait a minute.
I'm telling you, man, they got him. Cole Gipper,
hold
man.
on, which one? I've been reading. Hold on, which one? Hold on, wait. No, I ain't gonna get it.
I'm gonna get it for you. I'm gonna get it for you. I'm gonna get it for you. It's blasted all on Facebook. No. He in the comics. They got Superman's son all in the comics getting plooped up his butt. What? Yeah, it's going down. And then look, and you see the new Disney character. What's that new Disney character now? The first open Disney couple. Oh my gosh, this thing is off the hook. Disney is corrupt, but see, nobody didn't see the little faggot stuff when you start talking about Beavis and Butthead. They on the faggot stuff. When you look at, right. Yeah, Ren and Stimpy was on the faggot stuff.
Ren and Stimpy was real bad. Ren and Stimpy, they didn't hide that shit whatsoever.
Right. What's that? SpongeBob.
Remember Ed and
Eddie? You ain't coming at Ed and Eddie like that. You ain't coming at Ed and Eddie like that. You ain't coming at Aunt Nettie like that.
But I'm gonna tell you who was on some faggot stuff, and we never recognized it. But now I'm a grown man, and I'm watching it. Bugs Bunny. When you look at Bugs,
that's a tranny. That's a tranny all day.
He used to cross dress.
That was a tranny all
y'all
day.
know,
Yeah, he did. They put on dress and heels and his
wear the heels with the lipstick, we ain't pay no attention to none of this. That damn savage ass society been creeping in this stuff for over 50 to 60 years. They've been creeping in this stuff, and we ain't dig it. So now when you watch SpongeBob, he a cold faggot. Cold faggot. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I ain't lying.
He is
though. Cold faggot. And that's what I'm saying.
I've been told people that. I knew that shit when that motherfucker talking about when Mr. Crab called him a girl and he talking about something. Am I a pretty girl?
Yeah, you seen that?
Yo,
you seen that episode?
I'm a 90s kid. They threw this shit in our faces.
They are off.
They showered this shit in our faces.
And then you gotta look. And then I'm looking at and look how they murder the black father. Even when you watch the TV show Good Times, notice JJ. You notice how JJ's father James was that strong, hard-working black man. You know what I mean? But at the end, he dies after he get the good job that he's been looking for. They exit the black man from out of the home. And then when you look at the writers of these shows, all these writers were imposter Jews. When you look at Good Times, Jefferson's, these was white folks that was writing these stories up, these storylines. So not only, yes, sister.
I didn't mean to cut you like that, but the father from Good Times had an issue with it because he said he's tired of seeing JJ playing the goofy role. When is JJ going to play the mature, serious, black man role? Why you want him to just keep being famous for his goofiness? Let's change up the flow for a minute. And it was some issues behind that. Then that's why he ended up dying on the show, because he said he wasn't doing no more episodes with JJ acting a fool.
Absolutely. Everything was dynamite. And when I'm looking, I'm like,
that stuff was not necessary all the time, every time,
And it was so-called Jews that was writing all that. Sanford Son, That's My Mama, Good Times. Then you got Nell, What's Happening? Nell Carter, Give Me a Break. All these Webster, all these coonery shows, and we trying to figure out where the coonery coming from. And the whole time, the enemy, the counterpart, who's the enemy, been writing the script the whole time. And this been passed on for generation to generation to generation till you get to your mark. Notice every black man got to go through the initiation of getting plooped in his rectum. You see Will Smith with that 60 seconds of separation crap. You see that with Martin Lawrence with the Shanae crap or whatever, the Shaniqua or whatever. You got Big Jamie Foxx, the Big Mama's House. Vin Rames in Pulp Fiction put a apple in his mouth and a muzzle and hillbillies running up in him. Then you got Wesley Snipes with the Fu Manchu with the late what's his name that died, Patrick Swayze, and they going cross country dressed up in drag. And now you seen Wesley Snipes a couple of weeks ago looking like a straight old faggot. Old faggot. You got Wesley Snipes. All these men in Hollywood got to go through this initiation stage of being a faggot, man. Now, y'all call the Mighty Hebrew, and I'm going to tell you what it is. They going through rituals. Yeah. They going through rituals in Hollywood, and you got to and you got to remember it's the butt breaking. What? You got to break the original God. and the original goddess. And they doing it through stimulation of the sorcery going back to Aleister Crowley. When you dealing with sex magic and all that shit, this is what they're involved in these institutions of higher learning. This is not, they're not just doing these things because it's just a sexual preference. They're doing these things to feed the thirst off of the draconian spirit that's possessing them. To do, and it's trickling down to our babies. And it's going to take strong men and women in the Hebrew Israelite community, in the Kemetic community, in the Nation of Gods and Earths, the Rasa, all enlightened men and women have to now come together and put their differences to the side and deal with the humanity of people's rights. It ain't about what you believe, it's about stop fucking with the babies or get fucked up. Like, period. It ain't about no more going to the white man and looking for the white man to save us, when the so-called white man, that same judge that
got this problem.
Absolutely, that same white man that give a brother R. Kelly 100 years is the same one that's fucking his daughter. The same people that you want to judge us is behind closed doors under their immunity having sex with their kids. You got the Hills have eyes all over the country. They've been doing this. They've been fucking their kids. And then they pass that on to us. You even see it in the movie, what is that? Farewell, Uncle Tom. Goodbye, Uncle Tom. You've seen them, how they were separating us at them slave ports and got us dancing and wearing makeup. And them slave masters was having sex with the slaves, the men.
That movie is so gruesome and gross.
But it's all true though.
But it's
I thought Sankofa was bad.
Man, Sankofa.
That one really did.
Man, I'm like, man, listen, I'm like Dr. Khalid Muhammad. I love Sankofa. But you know what I really wanted to see? I wanted to see her chop that cracker head, smooth off his head, and I wanted the blood to splatter all on the screen to the point it looked like that shit got on my popcorn. That's what I wanted to see. Because at the end of the day, when she did what she did, you notice they show openly all the rape and abuse that sister went through. But when it was time to kill a devil, they covered that camera. They took that off camera. You see, psychologically, we afraid of this beast. We're afraid of this beast because in our mind, he has the power to either create or build or destroy. But now the power force is shifting back to our hands. It's shifting back to our hands. We have to now reconsider and we have to deal with these things. That means we have to separate ourselves. And I'm telling you right now, I feel as though, and I'm not saying this for everybody, I feel as though now repatriation is the best thing for our people. Or if you don't want to repatriate, get off the grid. Straight like that. If you trying to have justice, how you going to have justice from a people that don't have no heart for justice? You asking the same slave master that enslaved you to save you. It's not going to happen. They child molesters. The people that you're voting in office, they child molesters, pedophiles, rapists. Where do you think all the human trafficking? This is international crimes against humanity, and it's being controlled by government officials. They show you in the movie Hostel. Remember the movie Hostel? And they showing you government officials that will pay a certain amount of money to lock your ass up in a room, and they doing some crazy shit to you, sawing off pieces of your body parts as they having sex with you. How they had that woman tied up and then this other woman sitting inside of a tub and take a sword and plunge the woman and let the blood go through the tub. And now she's merging herself in the blood of a victim. These are the things that these people are doing. It's deep like that. The occultic behavior that these people are manifesting is real. It's real. Just like they have different signs and symbols of primordial man all throughout the world. And we think, oh, these are just statues. No, these are energies. Just like you put crystals all throughout your house and certain parts of your house so it can stimulate a certain type of positive energy. They do the same thing throughout the country of the United States or wherever they conquer at, and they put objects there to create a certain type of energy to keep the people asleep and in the dark. And I'm telling you, the only way, absolutely, the only way, sister, to come out of this now is self-autonomy. That's the only key now, self-autonomy. We have to now self-govern ourselves. We can no longer, all this keep marching, keep asking this devil for this. You're not going to get justice. You're not. You're going to get a feel-good moment. They shooting brothers in the back every day. These cops is having a field day right now. Right. It's so bad that the cops are raping, they're raping women in the back of police cars. You heard about a couple years ago how they raped that sister in the back of the car in Philly and then threw her ass the fuck out on the corner or in the middle of the street and kept on going and said, if you tell, we kill your whole family.
That's a shame.
This is your police. This is your police. And then what they do, oh, we just forgot all about the murder of George Floyd. We forgot about how they hung Sandra up. We forgot about all these things. Y'all know y'all raped that girl and then hung her ass up there. And nobody's talking about the, and the reality is, y'all, it's to a point like King David said, enough is enough with the talking shit. We got to set up institutions dealing with the institution of enforcing law in our community. Watch this. Let's say if somebody get raped in our community, and if the community do with how they did to Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, who are the people, who the government going to charge up? If the whole community rises up against that person, who they going to charge?
Nobody. They're going to say, oh, they're heroes, they're sheroes.
Right. Because now an individual, an individual, they can point to that individual. But if the whole community do community justice, what is the government going to do? They can't do shit. They're not going to lock up a whole entire community. No. And that's the whole point.
You see what you're saying is so true, because in India, there is a clan of women that will go with their big sticks and look for any man that raped a woman, whether it's pedophilia, rape, child molestation, and they go with it's a gang of them. They go with their big sticks and they do their thing when they find that clown. And
they beat them niggas to death. And they got street justice in Africa. You know what they do?
This is in India now. And most of the women in that picture that I saw with those big sticks in their hand were highly melanated Indians.
Absolutely. And I live in Africa. I'm telling you, you know what they do? They'll take some tires and put them tires on your motherfucking ass and burn your ass up. That's what they'll do to your ass. They'll put them tires on your ass and set your ass on fire.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And that's how I got the big. You can't, in our culture, you cannot rape a married woman. You cannot rape an engaged woman. You cannot rape a child. You cannot rape a virgin. And if you dealing with a woman and you seduce that woman with your gain to have a sexual relation behind the mother and father's back, and y'all two have a sexual relation, guess what? That's going to be your wife for life. All this perversion and all this premarital sex, we have lost the value of marriage and the sacredness of marriage. And all we doing is just letting our young sons And we guilty as men in our community. We have to take responsibility as men that we weren't productive fathers in our communities to show our young boys what it means to be a young man and how to go to the parents of that woman that you like, and out of respect, you take a gift to that father and that mother and ask for the hand of that woman. Is it okay if y'all conduct if we go out, if there's like an adult supervision? That's respect.
Yeah.
All this, you meeting the girl in the nightclub and in the same night you go have sex with her, that's wicked.
That's crazy.
That's wicked. And we got to stop with this. What do they call it? What's the new word they call it? I forgot the name, but you got these Vivica Foxes, or they make it seem, yeah, that's it, casual sex. Oh, we're all adults. That's okay. No, that's wicked. That's wicked, because every time a woman let a man go into her and he ejaculate in her, she gets possessed by an entity, which is a portion of that man. And if she has different or multiple partners, now you wondering why that sister crazy, or she bipolar.
Listen to this, ladies. Listen to this, sisters.
You see what I'm saying? And you wondering why this woman is the way. You want to sit up here and knock this woman, but you don't really know the dynamics of what's going on with this woman. And it goes back, once again, to child molestation. Because a lot of these sisters that's open and free will sex, we got to ask, were they touched when they were young? Were they abused by their cousin? Were they playing catch a girl, freak a? See, back then, when we played catch a girl, freak a girl, man, you might have rubbed on each other with your pants up, and then you ran hee or not. And I'm not justifying that, but it ain't like today. They not playing catch a girl, freak a girl. They playing catch a girl, fuck a girl.
Right.
There's a whole nother level now.
It ain't no rubber dub style, you know.
Yeah, ain't no rubbing no more.
Dry humping. Yeah. They're really humping. Okay.
Ain't no humping at nap time.
Right. They showing these children how to use condoms. They showing they have a homosexual trannies going to our schools and reading children's books that promote homosexuality to 7-8-year-old kids. Now you got to look at this. You have a group of class students in front of a trainee reading a book to show that being gay is okay. You can be like me. It's okay to be like me. It's okay to be a cross-dresser. It's okay to be a transgender. And so you want to say
all that shit is so fucking confusing.
That's right. Absolutely. Say it again, because I don't think they heard you. It's all what? Tell them again.
All that shit is confusing.
Absolutely. Y'all sitting up there. Y'all want, I got a quarrel against the alphabet community. Y'all want to sit up there and make it seem as though we're enforcing our heterosexualism on y'all. But what y'all doing is y'all trying to force us to accept these evils as social niceties. And then now y'all want to confuse the people now, and y'all don't want to call yourselves homosexuals no more. This, that. Y'all want to get all these things. And it's so bad now that in some states, they don't even tell you the gender of the child on the birth certificate no more. You see the type of, you don't know what's going on.
They doing that shit.
Yeah, the new thing now is, we don't have to tell the gender of the child anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Because gender is now identity instead of what you actually are. They're treating gender like it's your identity, something you can actually change.
Right.
But let me ask you something right quick. Before I'm guessing I'm running out of service. I'm guessing I'm running out of service on this phone because I keep blocking out. So let me ask you this before I go out. the fact that with them not putting the gender of the child anymore, how is that different? How does that? I be trying to get people to understand the difference between when when old African tribes, like certain tribes they won't give a child a gender until they're a certain age. Explain the difference between that and the bullshit we have over here.
It's not that they don't give the gender of the child. It's that they may not name the child until like the 8th day, but they never deny the gender of the child. Like I mean, it's clear if the young boy has a ride, it's a male. And I'm glad you brought this up, because these are some of the arguments that they try to use. You remember earlier I showed how they're trying to use ancient spirituality and cultures to manifest a deviant behavior. Like, for instance, in our societies, most societies practice polygyny, falsely called polygamy, okay? Yeah. Now, you also have polymorphiny, which is when a woman can take on more than one husband, but that only comes in circumstances when there's less men and more women. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. When there's more men and less women. Excuse me. When there's more men and less women. And what you got people doing is abstracting that to manifest a behavior that a woman may want more than one ride. And they try to justify these things instead of just saying, look, I like getting fucked by different niggas. See, I respect the person that keep a $150 versus you trying to lie and trying to shroud your lie through spirituality or spiritual systems that have nothing to do with what you're talking about. That's the problem. Exactly. And that's the same thing what you just said about the name and the gender of the child. They're misinformed. All African societies never deny the gender of the child. Now, what they may do is name the child, you know, like for instance, the Ashanti, they don't name the child until the 8th day. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes their names may connect to a day of the week, things of that. There's a science behind the subject matter, but not with these people. These people are aligning that with their deviant thoughts of wanting to have sex with children. This is just the reality. Everything is predicated around having sex with babies. You know what I'm saying?
All that comes from Europe. All that comes from Europe.
Absolutely. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it 100.
Charlemagne, right? King Charlemagne the God, the pedophile.
Oh yeah, what happened with that?
What's
like,
that?
You know, it's like he just came back on the show and everything was just cool. What happened with that shit?
What happened? What you talking about?
I'm talking about King Charlemagne the God from England.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Charlemagne the God off the radio station.
You talking about the Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah, cause didn't he get charged with some shit?
Yeah, I did see. Oh my goodness, Mighty Hebrew! I gotta send you this video of this girl. She was saying how when she was 15, how Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast
Yeah, I heard about that. Yup.
She described it and went into detail and was crying and everything.
For real.
Oh, that
I heard
that
and y'all and you see what's going on right now with Nature Boy. Yeah, y'all see all that crazy stuff going on with Nature Boy / he done changed his name to 3 God. Now they done locked him up for rape, trafficking. What? You don't know what's going on right now? Oh my God.
Hey yo, what about that thing with Polite?
All I know from what I know thus far, he's still fighting his situation. But that right there, like you just being caught up in a room with a 14-year-old is problems, and saying that they found semen and all kinds of things. I really don't know the dynamics of his case, but it looked like right now the odds are against him right now. That's what it looked like.
I mean, first of all, it's hard to explain that shit. Even if let's say this shit is a setup. How do you explain the fact that your semen is all over the fucking place?
Right.
But then again, think about it this way. Who having all this sex and just nutting all over the place?
Not only that, why are you even being accused of being in a hotel with a 14-year-old girl without the permission? And the 14-year-old girl supposed to have been one of his wives' daughters. Why are you in the hotel? And first of all, why are you taking this young girl to an over 21 club? Y'all can't get in the club. And then now you in the hotel and being accused. Now, as of yet, I can't say he guilty or innocent. But what I will say is that as a man, you shouldn't have been caught up in no situation like that to even be accused of something like that. And especially the knowledge that you have. There's certain things, once you get a certain age of maturity, and when you on a plateau like that, knowing who you are and your influence amongst thousands upon thousands and even millions of people, and you're influencing the world, your name don't supposed to be caught up in no shit like that. There becomes a time and a season in your life when you're seasoned to the point that you supposed to already know before it even happened. I don't care how many young ladies come in your inbox. You better ask right now. I need verifying identification of your age, birth certificate, because you got to remember a lot of these sisters now that you might think is sisters is really dudes. Oh, I want to make sure you're a woman. It's that bad. You want their age. I don't care if you finding them in the club, because they can make fake IDs. The responsibility is on you when it comes to a child. I don't care if they got a fake ID. I don't care if they fit. I don't care if they look more mature. It is you as a man to be responsible to find out the identity of the person that you're dealing with. Simple and plain, especially in this dispensation of time. You know what's going on. You should know better. There's just certain things is knowable now. And like, I'm 45 years old. I know I may not look 45, but I'm 45. And you will have all types of women come at the Mighty Hebrew. First of all, I'm married. That's number one. Number two is the way that you come. If you're trying to get into our world, you need to go to my wife and introduce yourself to my wife if you're trying to get in this poly thing. And third, we need to know all the information about you. I want to know your age. I want to know who your family is, who you're involved. I want to know everything. And that's the point. We have to be responsible, and we have to stop saying that we conscious, but then we doing every single thing that everybody else is doing. And that's why he got caught up. It's a multiplicity of reasons why he got caught up. But at the age and the maturity level of where he's at, he shouldn't be caught up in a situation like that. But his guilt or innocence, I'll let the evidence come out. I'm not going to prematurely say that he's guilty. But like you said, finding his semen, talking about he put his fingers in her mouth to make her, throw up, and just all kinds of weird shit. These things got to be, we got to analyze it. And when it come out, we got to deal with it. So that's basically it with that. But they all getting caught up. They trying to hit them all up. And if you notice, it's a target on people that's in position when it comes to leadership and what they would consider the Black conscious community. What they're doing, if you notice, they had a thing with Shaka Akmos, trying to say he raped a couple of girls. You know what I mean?
When?
I don't know how true. Yeah. What? Type it up. Type it up on your YouTube right now. Just type of Shaka Akmos rape. Yeah, it's a big thing. You got these YouTube wars going on right now where they trying to say that, talking about Shaka. He's living where?
Isn't he living in Florida or something?
I think in New York or somewhere. I don't know how true it is or not because I don't get involved in it. All I'm saying is it's on YouTube, and you got different YouTubers battling him about this right now. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, you have your, I'm not going to put the YouTube names out there. All you got to do is type it up right now and you're going to see it. It's all going to pop up. Shh, it's just going to all pop up. And what I'm saying is at a certain age, and it could be slander, it could be true because they've been trying to interview these women that they trying to say, like they did a couple of interviews. They actually did do a couple of interviews, whereas though one girl came out talking about he was with her mom, but then he was doing a little weird shit, and it's a whole slander campaign. You know what I'm saying?
Shaka mother?
Yeah, but Shaka Akmos' ex-girlfriend's daughter, slandering his name and saying all this. Yup, just type it up. You could type up something like Shaka Akmos rape allegations on YouTube, and you would just see all these crazy videos come on it. Now, again, I'm not saying Shaka Akmos did any of these things. All I'm saying is, why all of a sudden these allegations are coming out? And why is it that it's a focal point on the black man that's in a position of leadership, but when it comes to the so-called white man, there's always an excuse. You see what I'm saying? The same thing when you see if a black man have guns and take pictures, he's a criminal, he's a thug. But then when the white boys and girls are up in the mountains with AK-47s and ARs and all that, oh, these are just good old boys. Remember Dukes of Hazzard? Just a good old boys. Never meaning no harm. And they the ones that's shooting up all the schools since the Columbine to now. Ain't been nothing but white boy get his heart broke, so he go into the school and kill 9 people. And then you try to justify the murder. Now you got
somewhere and buy McDonald's. Right.
Now you got these brothers. You brothers better stop laying up with them damn white women, them damn devils. Because if you notice, them brothers is getting murdered by them white girls, and them white girls is getting off by justifiable homicides. What's that recent girl out there in Texas that stabbed her boyfriend up to death and she ain't even been charged? What's that cop that supposedly by accident shot her own boyfriend in his house? And I hate our people. You don't want to forgive your own people, but you got the parents of the brother that was slain talking about we forgive you and hugging her and all this. If you don't get your coonery ass up out of here, fuck that cracker. She murdered your son in cold blood out of jealousy and only got less than 10 years. Gave a good beat. So she'll be out in 3-4 years. She slayed your son, and you going to say, we forgive you. But you can't forgive the brother down the street that slayed your son. See, all this stuff got to be put out, Sister Nagash. Selassie, all this stuff got to be put the fuck out. Like, we keep forgiving everybody but ourselves. We forgive everybody but ourselves. You say what, sister?
I found the
See what I'm saying?
Video.
You see?
Let me see if y'all can hear.
And I know Shaka Akmos personally, and he don't seem like he's like that. It seemed like it's more of a slander campaign.
Mm-hmm. Let me know if you can hear it. Hold on.
Of this platform, this presentation.
Can you hear it?
Hieroglyph. Or rather, I'm the presenter of this presentation on this platform called Hieroglyph. And welcome to my breakfast. Yeah. So you see me playing with my nose a lot.
Stop it for 1 second, sister. I want to say one thing. Stop it. Just stop it for 1 second. And I want to remind even Shaka Akmos exposed when he was younger that he was abused by older women, sexually abused by older women. So just to make it clear, give a shout out to him for openly admitting about the abuses that happened in his life. But continue on. Go ahead, sister.
True.
Because there was a situation that occurred about a month or so ago that was all over social media, and it's still playing out in the courts. And quite a number of people contacted me to comment on it because
stop. It's still being played out in the courts. You hear that, right? He said it was being blasted on social media and it's still being played out in the courts. Continue.
And with certain personalities on there. And I declined that first because I really just didn't want to get involved. I wanted to focus on other things. However, because of the nature of currents and the nature of momentum, it was eventually I was going to be beckoned in a very, I was going to be compelled. That's a good word. That's a good word. I was going to be compelled to interject my own perspective into the whole thing. And while I can't say that I was prepared, I can say that I had certainly given a lot of things a lot of thought. I cannot say that they were already systematized. And I spoke of a PowerPoint that was going to follow up that discussion so that some clarity could be gained on the things that I put on the table, that I brought front and center. The phraseology, the terminologies. And I need to start keeping notes. I don't keep notes. But this person, B1C2, mentioned that that platform has been a mess lately. I can't speak to that because I don't really watch other people's platforms if it's not related to things that I'm really interested in. But I think it's unfair to say that, well, let's just say this. Let's just say that that's true. That it's been a mess lately on that platform. What we have to ask ourselves, is that really a reflection of the platform and its hosts and its guests? Or is it a reflection of a larger dynamic that's just pervasive throughout Black social media? And I think that's more of a fair question because we'll come to a fairer conclusion and we won't single out that platform, that host and his guests as being the mess or the source of the mess or anything of that nature. And the reason I say that is because prior to me doing this deep dive that I did over the past few weeks, I was under the impression, to some degree, like many other people, that in some respects, that platform did play a part or a role in being the source of a lot of the mess, or its guests did. And after doing this deep dive, I was forced to rethink that. I was forced to confront and contend with truths that most of us are oblivious to, mostly by design and by unfortunate actions throughout history. Most of us are really basic that we suffer from, which would describe all of the is like, I think in terms of ancient Egyptian values, ignorance is the greatest evil of all. The greatest evil of all. And as long as in entities as a collective and in us as individuals, then evil itself will not just persist, there will be a preponderance of it and a proliferation of it, such that we will all come away with that we are all evil. Now, I should call it the quasi-false notion, because the reality of it is that we are all evil. We are also all good. The consequential nature of life is, right? It's such. So the real question is that we are harmful to our others, and that life itself can be a profitable experience. And you cannot do that. You cannot accomplish that. Number one, don't give it serious thought. And also, if you are entertaining fairy tale ideas about the human condition. Now, myth is a very dangerous thing to do, because myth serves in a vehicle very profound truth required. So you can't come at me with that bullshit. I'm just telling you the truth. But, like you said, I'm not listening. I don't look at you and see ancient. There's nothing you ever that into the image that you're projecting into the world. Pride at all. Subject of ancient Egypt was black. You don't believe it yourself. If you did, as far as I'm concerned, you would look like it. Your version. I don't care. Just do your version of it, but bring it with you. Bring it. You know, as Wesley Snipes when we were hanging out in the nightclub. Bring it. You know. So let's get it popping. Okay, all right. Let's do this. What are we here for? Okay. Welcome to Hieroglyph. I'm your host, Shaka Amos. And this evening is going to be, first thing I want you to know is allegation this day. This is very key to understand this. Today is false rape allegation awareness. And throughout these, every must be it's all black man is going to have the very exact and it could be your father, it could be your best friend, it could be your cousin, it could be your co-worker, it could be your fiance. To recognize this, I'm phenomenon wreaks and imposes on our just as to recognize the community. If you're just picking your favorite form of destructive violence to be vocal about, and you're just very selective, these things are.
Sorry about that.
Yes, there's a lot more.
I'm about to bring it
Sister
back in.
Nagash, yeah, Sister Nagash, no interruptions, but it's 5:00 a.m. for me now, and I have to now like get up now and get ready to like feed my goats and do my farming here because I get up every 5:30 a.m. So I have to like leave now.
Okay.
If
No
that's
problem.
okay. Yep. And I definitely will be back. We can make like a part 2, but I have to do the household chores now. So I get up at this time. I gotta clean the chicken coop and just do different things for the household. But it was definitely an honor to come on here and a privilege. I've been watching your show. You may not know, brother, but I've seen a couple of your episodes of your show. And anything Sister Nagash do, I love it. I love it. Give a shout out to King David, sister from DC, and Sister Nagash. I need to speak to you. I got to tell you something. So when you get off air, I'm gonna call you. I don't know how long you're gonna be on the air, but I'm gonna call you immediately right away because I got to tell you something. Some good news.
Okay, no problem.
All right, y'all.
Okay.
Then we gonna
It
end
was
it right here.
because I've been on like a little over 2 hours, and I forgot. I keep forgetting sometimes when I get in these conversations. Yup, that's my alarm. That's my alarm. So when I get in these conversations, it gets so deep. I'll be forgetting the time because it be so good. But again, give a shout out to brothers that's fighting the cause that's been slandered. Give a shout out to brothers like Solar Mind, Solar Vision, Shaka Akmos. Give a shout out to everybody that's trying to fight this battle against child molestation, all the advocates that are fighting against child molestation, such as Queen's Throne, Clive Diva. It's a bunch of people out there that they may not be known. You got Jeremiah Judah Lions Den. You had the Mighty Hebrew Israelite Sovereign Nationalistic Research Team, and even Side Netta House of Consciousness, they done had shows fighting up against child molestation too. So you have people out there that's Side Netta got shows where he's fighting against child molestation too. You know what I'm saying? So you have some people out there that's trying their best, and on these platforms we may not agree with each other when it comes to certain doctrinal differences. But when it comes to the premise of child molestation, we all agree that it's wrong, it's evil, it's abnormal, and we need even give a shout out to Hassan Campbell. He's fighting a tremendous battle, coming at the African Bambaataa situation. So there's a lot of things that's going on even behind the scenes of our people trying to fight against child molestation. So let's keep the fight going. I will come back for a second part. And I think if I do come back for the second part, I would like to do a PowerPoint presentation of the source of child molestation going back to ancient Babylonian ritualism. I want to show y'all.
Please do.
That'd be so great. We
Absolutely.
need visuals because sometimes people,
Yup.
but when now they're here and seeing it, it just makes so much sense. And then we can start, talking about the signs that we could look for if a child has been molested and they haven't spoken out yet. But there's got to be some red flags that the parents or any adult that's around them, these children, could look out for to see if their child's been violated,
Absolutely. I'm here for you. And sister, when you get off, I'm going to call you in a few minutes.
Okay, you're going to call on the Facebook, right?
Yup.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. It was nice coming on. Thank you for having me
Thank
on your
you.
show.
Thank you.
It was an honor. Absolutely. It was an honor. Sister, make sure you inbox me so we can start that process of repatriation.
What's your page is Prince what? Prince SHAR?
Yup. Prince SHAR LAN'DIIN. Yup. YASHARAHLA. Seen it. Yup.
Oh, okay. And what part? I'm gonna inbox you so you can spell out what part of Tanzania you in so I can look it up and stuff.
I'm in Moshi. MOSHI.
Okay.
Okay. So make sure you inbox me, sister, so there we can get on that right away. Hallelujah.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Yup. Shalom to the family. Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah. Love you
All right,
guys.
people.
Peace.
Bless it. Thank all of y'all for being on my show. Please, all my viewers, like and subscribe. You can stay tuned for the next episode for when we have the Mighty Hebrew on here. Hopefully, I will. Matter of fact, no, there's not going to be. Hopefully, I will have better connections then, so I won't be popping in and out because it seems like every time I turn my camera on, it's going to kick me out. So that's not going to happen anymore. I'm tired of that.
I know
We're going to keep this going. So once again, thank y'all. I really appreciate y'all. Nuggets, I love it when you bring powerful people on my show. Much love.
Yes, every time.
Selassie, give thanks.
Rastafari, love and gratitude.
Yeah, they are.
We look good.
Black people.
All right.
Bless up, Christina.